The episode begins with McGee excitedly returning to work after a brief hiatus. His colleagues are surprised to see him slightly distracted, his usually calm demeanor a bit out of sorts. His desk, typically neat and tidy, has papers scattered all over it. When Gibbs asks if everything is okay, McGee explains that his latest book, a crime thriller based on his NCIS experiences, has hit a bump in the road. McGee has been facing pressure from his publisher, who is demanding edits and revisions that are becoming increasingly difficult to make. His initial book had done well, gaining him some recognition outside of the NCIS world, but now the stakes have been raised for his second novel. He's feeling overwhelmed by the challenge of balancing his work at NCIS, his family life, and the expectations for his writing. Case. While McGee is grappling with his writer's block, a new case emerges. The team is called to investigate a murder at a high-security research facility. A scientist has been killed, and the team quickly uncovers that the scientist was working on a groundbreaking cybersecurity project that could revolutionize the intelligence community. As the investigation develops, the team finds that several of the scientist's colleagues had motives to eliminate him, including a rival researcher who was threatened by the potential success of the project. As McGee and the team dig deeper, they also discover that someone in the facility had been using the project's research for personal gain, and there may be ties to the world of corporate espionage. Throughout the investigation, McGee struggles with his responsibilities as both a special agent and a writer. His book deadline looms, and he's finding it harder to focus on the case, as his mind constantly drifts back to the plot of his novel and how it mirrors the case they're working on. McGee becomes increasingly paranoid, questioning whether his fiction is getting too close to reality. McGee's internal conflict. The personal and professional pressures begin to weigh heavily on McGee. At home, his wife, Delilah, tries to support him, but it's clear that McGee is becoming frustrated by his inability to balance everything. His children, particularly his young son, ask when his next book will be finished, which only adds to his stress. Meanwhile, McGee becomes obsessed with the idea of incorporating elements of the current case into his book. His writer's block begins to break, but it leads him down an unsettling path. He starts to develop theories about the case that seem to align too perfectly with his novel's plot, raising questions about his objectivity as an investigator. As McGee's work becomes more influenced by his writing, tensions rise within the team. Gibbs, noticing that McGee's judgment is clouded, steps in to gently remind him of the importance of separating his two worlds. Gibbs tells McGee that while writing is an important outlet, it shouldn't compromise his work at NCIS. Twist. While investigating further, McGee uncovers a shocking twist. The murder was not just about corporate espionage, but a much deeper conspiracy involving government agencies. The project the scientist was working on had been developed with hidden military applications, and several high-ranking officials were involved in covering up its true purpose. In a pivotal moment, McGee realizes that the murder and conspiracy tied directly into a subplot from his book that he had written months ago. This revelation shakes him, as he wonders whether his writing has subconsciously predicted real-world events, or if he's simply seeing patterns that aren't really there. In the final scenes, McGee and the team close in on the killer, who turns out to be a disgruntled former employee who had discovered the government project's true nature and wanted to expose it. The team makes the arrest, and the case is closed. McGee's resolution. The episode ends with McGee sitting alone at his desk, reflecting on the case and his personal journey. He decides to rewrite his book, not with more sensationalism, but with more genuine emotion, drawing on his experiences with NCIS and his own internal struggles. He understands that he doesn't have to make his real life fit into his fictional work, and vice versa. In a light-hearted moment, McGee shares his newfound sense of balance with his colleagues. He's learned that the best stories aren't just based on facts or fiction, but on the experiences that shape who we are. McGee hands Delilah the revised manuscript, and together, they celebrate his newfound peace. Key themes. The balance between personal ambition and professional duty. The pressure of living up to expectations in both personal and creative aspects. the intersection of real life and fiction, and the challenges of separating the two. The support of family and colleagues in times of stress. Character development. McGee learns to embrace the challenges of writing without letting it take over his life or his work at NCIS. Delilah's role as a supportive wife is highlighted, as she helps McGee navigate through his creative struggles. The team's dynamic is tested as McGee struggles with his priorities, but they ultimately rally around him. Possible future plot threads. McGee's continuing struggle to balance writing and being an NCIS agent, potentially leading to a more permanent resolution of his literary career. Delilah's involvement in McGee's future projects, possibly leading to a shared creative endeavor. That's the general outline. Let me know if you'd like more details in any part or if you'd like to expand on specific characters, dialogue or moments.